On the biggest stage in the world, FanDuel is changing the game because sometimes your player gets subbed off and your bet goes with them. Not anymore. With FanDuel Super Sub, if your player's subbed out, your bet stays in. That's right. If your player leaves the match, your bet continues on with the substitute. So you're still in it until the final whistle. Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We are back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thank you so much for joining this weekend. My next guest is Jeff Yass. Jeff and I have been friends for, 25 years or so. He is the founder of Susquehanna Capital, has been incredibly successful. He and his wife are very involved in school choice and have done amazing things to expand school opportunities for people around the country. So thank you, Jeff, for everything you and Janine have done in that regard. But I wanted to bring Jeff on today because he and I have been talking about this whole issue of Elon Musk. It's first of all, Jeff, what an ode to capitalism we saw yesterday in the markets. The first $2 trillion company. I mean, only in America.
That's true, Steve. Thanks for having me. It was. It should be a day we're celebrating.
Yep. And yet, Jeff, I hear a lot of moaning at the New York Times and Bloomberg about, oh, my God, capitalism is a terrible thing because we have a trillionaire now. Oh, no, we can't have that. That's too much wealth for anyone to have. But what about the trillions of dollars he's making for other people? There's an estimate, I think it's almost 5,000 people have been made millionaires by this guy. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he has done, the new frontiers. And thank God, as the Wall Street Journal said, if Elon Musk were Chinese and we're doing this in China, you say, oh my God, we're falling behind China, but it's here in the USA.
Right, that's exactly right. The Bernie Sanders said if this doesn't prove we have an oligarchy, I don't know what does.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that you and I have been talking about. It's a really good lead into two things you and I have been working on together because you do a lot of policy work as well. So one of them, and I'll just mention them both, and we'll talk separately about them. One is, how you could actually impose, why not do offer all these people who've made all this money in the markets a 15% capital gains tax if they basically fast forward, they pay forward their capital gains. We could probably raise, $200 to $300 billion in tax revenues because people would take advantage of that lower rate and the government would get additional money to reduce our deficit. I love that idea, Jeff, but also, Well, first, let's take on that one. So, because you really came up with this concept, how would it work?
Well, first of all, Steve, you're being way too conservative. It's way more than $200 or $300 billion. I would think it's well over $1 trillion. Musk himself is just made $1 trillion. If he handed in 15% of his stock, he alone is $150 billion.
That's right. Just one person. Right.
Right. So the way it would work, we would say to anyone who, even if it's in your personal account or if you're Elon Musk or anybody, instead of waiting to pay 23.8% capital gains tax, where you have these stocks that you don't really want to own, but you don't want to pay the taxes, there'll be a one-time tax holiday of 15% for the next year or so. And you don't have to sell your stock and give us cash. You can just give us stock. So, for example, Elon Musk owns $1 trillion worth of SpaceX. He can just give the U.S. government 15% of his holdings. So instead of owning, he owns 7 billion shares, he would own, approximately 6 billion. The government would get 1 billion shares, non-voting, because we can't let the
non-voting
government vote.
That's critical.
Would be a disaster. And then the government over time sells these stocks like in an ETF, like an S&P fund, and they wouldn't have to go borrow $2 trillion next year to fund the deficit. They would just gradually sell out of these stocks, and interest rates would go down because there wouldn't be $2 trillion of demand for treasuries, and people's portfolios would be balanced. They wouldn't be having, the money would be freed up to go to more productive uses, and we're going to need that capital because we're probably going to spend close to $10 trillion over the next decade getting, data centers, compute, and getting AI up to speed. So we need the money.
Well, I love this idea. Now, of course, my friends on the left say, tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. But for one thing, you're getting the money up front, so there's a time value of money, and getting the money now versus getting the money 20 years from now is very valuable to the United States. That's point number one. Point number two, a lot of people just end up, they avoid paying capital gains tax because they basically die with the assets, and then they get what's called a step-up basis at death. So a lot of it, capital gains is never really even collected on. So it seems to me this is a win-win for the people who own the stocks. It's a win-win for the federal government. It improves the overall U.S. economy, and people are worried about the budget deficit and the amount we're borrowing, and I include myself in that camp. This would dramatically reduce federal borrowing.
Yeah, and it would also, it's really not a tax cut, because if you wait long enough, paying 15% today is like paying 23.8%.
Yes, exactly.
20 years, or possibly zero if you use the stepped up basis upon death. But it also would illustrate to the people, certainly not the hardcore leftists, but at least the people, that we want entrepreneurs. We want people making $1 trillion or, any amount, so that we could collect these taxes and reduce the deficit. And that would mean a tax cut for everybody else, because we'd be getting it from the Elon Musk of the world. And it would show the people that capitalism is good. We need people figuring great things out to pay our bills.
So, I mean, that's such an important last point you just made. I mean, I think about how the world has changed in the last 20 years. And the most amazing thing to me, Jeff, is you look at these companies like Anthropic, you look at Google, you look at Apple, you look at Amazon, you look at Microsoft, all these companies, I think like 9 of the 10 top technology companies in the world are in the United States. I think 12 of the 15 most valuable companies in the world are here in the United States. And, look, we don't have enough free market capitalism. Government's too big, but we probably have the freest markets of any country virtually in the world.
Yeah, that's true. We can certainly do a lot better, but we're still way better than the rest of the world.
We're not France.
Yeah. The thing is, there was talk, like the New York Times has stories. Elon Musk could buy every sports team in America and still have $500 billion left over. All these things amazing that he could do. Or with the $1 trillion in taxes they're going to collect from SpaceX over time, they can give every family of four $12,000, which is essentially what they're going to do. That's $3,000 a person, 333 million people. So if you're a family of four, you are eventually going to receive about $12,000 from Elon Musk. You would think we would be celebrating that.
Yes. Yeah, and so instead, a lot of people think it's almost fiendish that he's become a trillionaire. Now, we only have about 4 minutes left, and I wanted to mention the other issue that you and I have been working on. It's so ironic that the two biggest stories right now this week have been, number one, this amazing IPO of the SpaceX, but the other one being Social Security is going bankrupt. And I'm thinking, Jeff, what a tragedy that the Congress did not take up our idea. You and I have been working on this for 25 years. Why not let every single American, instead of having to put their payroll tax money into this black box of Social Security, why not let them own things? I mean, think of how much wealth would have been created for average Americans if that money, if their Social Security dollars were in owning companies like Google and SpaceX. Right.
Well, supposedly, the story is Social Security is good for the poor, But what Social Security does is it takes about $1.5 trillion a year from people, says
Working
you cannot
class.
invest in the stock market. That enables rich people who want to invest in the stock market to make higher returns, but they're not competing with that other $1.5 trillion. So the poor get poorer and the rich get richer because of Social Security. Had we done, the whole thing with the wealth inequality is really largely caused by government interference, preventing people from participating in the great bull market. They're now poor. The people who participated are rich. And instead of saying the government caused it with this crazy idea, they get angry at the wealthy when they subsidize the wealthy and punish the poor.
It's true, and it's just a trap. We did some numbers at Unleash Prosperity. We found that even someone who made a minimum wage job their whole life, and there's not too many people in that camp. So the worst case scenario, even somebody who just made a minimum wage for their 40 years of working, they'd have $1 million in these accounts.
Yeah, I know, and they still won't admit it, and they don't want to change it.
Yeah, well, it's never too late. We've got to do that. That's our next mission, Jeff, is to make sure that, and by the way, I would make it optional to young workers, because the people are going to be screwed by the fact that Social Security is going bankrupt. It's not me and you. It's our kids and our grandkids that are going to get screwed. They're going to make us pay more taxes for our kids and less out. How is that a good deal for young people?
No, it is not.
Well, Jeff Yass, thank you for everything you do for making America a greater place. I just think that what happened this week with respect to this, and by the way, Anthropic's coming up, right? And we've got two more big IPOs coming up.
Right, we have two more that should be close to $1 trillion apiece.
Wow!
And it's only in America.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Jeff Yass, thanks so much for carving out some time on your weekend to come on the More Money Show. This is the More Money Show, folks, and we will be right back.
Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks host the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars. Tonight at 7 p.m., it's soccer night, and kids glow around the bases postgame. Saturday at 6:30, it's Broadway night with postgame fireworks and Broadway rave. Sunday at 1:30, it's Military Appreciation Day, and the kids run around the bases.
A great day out for the entire family. Kids run the bases after every Sunday home game. Want the best seats all season? Get more Ferry Hawks for only $63. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.